There haven't been a lot of US rations that have featured turkey. When MREs were first introduced in 1981, there was a menu number 7, turkey diced with gravy. I recently did a review on this one from 1981. And quite a few years later there was another MRE that was basically like a Thanksgiving dinner that featured turkey and potatoes. Last year around Thanksgiving I posted a video called Shelf Stable Thanksgiving, and that was basically a meal made up of a bunch of commercial components around an entree of freeze-dried turkey tetrazzini, which came from either a meal cold weather or a long-range patrol ration. So this year I figured we could revisit that idea and maybe kind of complete it by doing a review of a complete meal cold weather. And this one is menu number 4, turkey tetrazzini. So this will have the same entree as the shelf-stable Thanksgiving dinner last year, but the rest of it will be all the components from an MCW. So as I said, this is a meal cold weather. Menu number 4, chicken tetrazzini. It's from Ameriqual. And it doesn't have a date code stamped on the bag, but they do have these generic white bags that all look the same, and they just print the information right here. So in addition to the menu number and the entree, it also gives you the date code, which is 4237. So this one was packed on the 237th day of 2014. Let's go ahead and see what is inside of this one. And it looks like we have a fail on the peelable seal. I'll have to cut that one open. Of course, the meal cold weather, it's similar to an MRE, has somewhat less components in it, but because it's meant to be used in cold weather environments, for the most part, nothing in here can really be frozen. It's basically stuff that can survive pretty well in a cold environment, an Arctic environment. And the biggest difference is that a meal ready to eat is ready to eat, whereas the meal cold weather has some components that need to be reconstituted or rehydrated. And the first component we have in here is the freeze-dried turkey tetrazzini. It's also part of the reason why there's less components in here is because this small little package here is going to give you a lot of food. It's 4.41 ounces or 125 grams. But you're going to add 16 ounces of hot water to it. So it's going to give you a lot of food. You'll see when we put it out on the tray. And of course you want to make sure that these things are vacuum sealed tightly, and it's like a brick. This is very, very tightly sealed. And this has a date code on it of 4195. So this was packaged on the 195th day of 2014. And this comes from Oregon Freeze Dry Incorporated, also known as Mountain House. In addition to our entree, we also have some vegetable crackers. And you can see the stuff is all in the white packaging to go along with the white bag for an Arctic camouflage, basically. We have vegetable crackers, which they don't seem to have a very good seal on here. Hopefully they're going to be okay. These are also from 2014. And for that we have, as a spread, we have cheese spread with jalapenos. It'll warm you up on a cold night. We have beverage base powder orange, fortified. This feels a little bit odd too. It kind of feels it's crystallizing and maybe clumping up a little bit in there. And we also have a Fudge Brownie. And actually here are the nutrition facts on this. And it's a lot of ingredients in this Fudge Brownie. We also have a standard MRE spoon and a MCW accessory pack. Oh, I thought they had gotten rid of this by this point. This actually has the iced tea drink mix. It's nice to see, I like that. So our 2 drinks in this one are going to be iced tea and coffee, and they both come in the accessory pack. Taster's choice. Let's see how that survived. Non-dairy creamer. Sugar. Matches. Moist towelette. Chewing gum, which is for some reason kind of smashed up here. The candy coating is broken off. It's actually kind of interesting to see that. The gum inside of it. Toilet paper and the old mini bottle of Tabasco sauce, which has its own date code, 4110. Alright, and here's everything that's in this MCW. And I did make one mistake. I said that there were 2 beverages that were included in the accessory pack, but I forgot about the orange beverage base powder. So we actually have 3 drinks with this one. And we will take a look at the ingredients and the nutrition facts on the turkey tetrazzini. But I'm going to wait until we get this package open so it's a little bit easier to read. And why don't we go ahead and get started. Okay, so as I said, the entree is going to take 16 ounces or 2 cups of hot water. You can see it has this, everything's down here and it has this long, seemingly extra bit here, but that's just basically because you're going to be putting so much water in. Gives you some space to mix everything up and be able to fold it back over to reconstitute. I've never quite gotten a handle on these tear notches on here. It has tear notches here, so you can rip it down here past the seal, but it never really works out all that great for me, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this below the seal. So if you have one of these and you can crunch it around and it feels a little bit loose, that means it probably has a pinhole in it or some kind of a bad seal, and it may very well be bad. This was packed in 2014, so it's about 4 years old, and this should last probably about 25 or 30 years. It's not a bad smell. It kind of smells like a dry chicken soup mix kind of a thing. So we're going to add our 2 cups of water. Sometimes I do like to go a little bit less on these. Actually, I think I will go just a little bit less. And mix it up a little bit. Of course, you want to mix this up completely, but mix it up a little bit with a spoon. And I don't know how well you can see it, but it's already, looks like a really thick gravy in there. It's pretty runny, but it should set pretty well. And to do that, we're going to fold the top of the bag over, and I'm actually going to use the length of the top of the bag to give it a good enough seal that I can actually shake this up. Make sure it's really mixed well. It seems like whenever I do one of these, I always end up with a little bit of dry bits in there. And so you're going to put this off to the side and give it about 10-15 minutes to reconstitute, but it's always a good idea to have something with you to help keep this sealed. A binder clip works great, it's probably the perfect thing. A clothespin is fine, even like a large paper clip. Basically anything that you can do to kind of give this a good seal. So we'll give that some time to reconstitute and check everything else out. We'll start off with dessert and take a look at the Fudge Brownie from Sterling. This was not too long before they started putting in the trans fat-free desserts. So this should actually taste a little better than that. Yeah, we have looks like a chocolate brownie, and it has chocolate chips in it. Yeah, it has that nice packaged smell. It actually kind of smells like the TFF ones. But I guess it has to do with the fact that it's supposedly fudge, so it smells a little bit different than the regular chocolate brownies. Then we have the vegetable crackers. As I said, I'm a little bit concerned about this because the seal on this doesn't seem to be all that great. After years and years of never getting any bad crackers, I've suddenly had 2 packages in a row. The 1981 turkey dice with gravy came with some crackers that didn't have a good seal, and they were terrible. They were bleached out and no good. Yeah, I did not hear any hiss on that one, so that's not a good sign. Add in the fact that these have some vegetable in them, and they have an extra thing that could go bad. Now let's see what we got. They seem to smell fine, and maybe it was just not a very great seal, but despite the fact that there may have been a little bit of air in there, no extra air got in over the years. And they seem to, as far as I can tell, they seem to smell like regular vegetable crackers. I'll take that. Alright, and the cheese spread with jalapenos. I haven't gotten this in a while. You're going to want to give this a good knead to get all the oils and everything mixed up. So there's a couple nice little touches in here that I'm assuming they did on purpose. For people in a cold environment, they'll probably appreciate having the little kick you get from the jalapenos and the cheese spread. And of course you also have the Tabasco sauce. So in addition to the actual heat of reconstituting your food in hot water, you also have some heat from the spices. Yeah, it's a little on the, wow, I guess it's the jalapenos that are doing it, but it's looking a little bit less than wonderful. But it does smell fine, so I think despite, well, yeah, I'm going to get some comments. I can see what people are going to think this looks like, and I'm not going to argue that. It definitely does look like dog crap. Wow. Not the most appetizing looking thing, but it smells like standard cheddar cheese spread, and it's going to have that little extra bit with the jalapenos, so that should be nice. And now we basically just have a bunch of drinks. We have our coffee, our iced tea, and our orange beverage base powder. We'll start with the iced tea, which takes 6 ounces of water. It has a pretty artificial chemical kind of smell to it, but I've always enjoyed the iced tea. It has a little natural lemon flavor and sugar in it. A lot of MREs used to come with either the iced tea or an apple cider drink in the accessory packs. They discontinued that quite a few years ago. And the orange beverage base powder takes 12 ounces of water. I did notice something interesting on here. As I had said, it seems like it's kind of crystallizing and solidifying in here a little bit, which would indicate something's not quite right. And it looks like the way the bag was sealed, it's kind of off-center, but it is sealed just fine. But I noticed the tear notches, there's an issue with the tear notches. It looks like the machine that's supposed to cut them was off this way just a little bit. So this tear notch is barely here, and this one actually goes into the packaging. So I don't think this is actually sealed completely. It's hard to tell if it's actually went through. It may not have gone through, but either way, it's not quite perfect. I think I'll make my own new tear notch. I'm going to tear this pouch a new notch. Let's see. It's definitely become pretty granular. I think that's not too uncommon for these MCW ones. It does still smell basically like Tang, like a breakfast orange drink. No, you know, it almost actually smells like orange juice. I mean, that's kind of the idea of the orange beverage base powder, but it really generally resembles that Tang breakfast drink kind of smell. And obviously that's what it is, but this smells kind of nice. It's almost like extra orangey. And we'll check out how the Taster's Choice fared. Didn't feel too bad in there. Ooh. It doesn't smell too bad, but I see some white on there, and it definitely is caked up. Let me let's take a closer look at this and see if we have some dry mold. Oh yeah, look at that. Wow, I'm glad I did that. I almost just poured this right in. That is really bad. And it's strange because it actually smells pretty good. Well, I'm not going to drink any of this. But I think we'll go ahead and make it up just for the sake of having a visual of the entire meal. That's weird. And I'm going to waste the cream and sugar on that one. Since we're obviously not going to be drinking that. Yeah, I don't really understand why they put in the commercial coffees for such a long time. I guess they must have tried it out, thought it would be fine, and at some point they realized they made a mistake, and now you don't see them in there anymore. They just don't last as long. They're not in the packaging. I mean, obviously, even the normal MRE coffee comes in this type of a packaging, which won't last forever, but it's better than the commercial stuff that's just not meant to last 3 to 5 years. Alright, now we can go ahead and take a look at our turkey tetrazzini. I've just had plenty of time to reconstitute. It's still hot in there. Not too hot to touch, but still pretty hot. And now we can finally take a look at the ingredients and also the nutrition facts. pretty good. Kind of sort of smells like Thanksgiving. And there's going to be a lot of this. I have to hold back on a little bit. Alright, that's most of it. There's a little bit more in the package, but I think that's enough to give us an idea of what's in there. You can see that not only does this pretty much fill up the compartment in the tray, but it also is quite high. Let's go ahead and check everything out. Alright, and here's what I guess is our turkey dinner. Looks like all we're missing is maybe a little cranberry sauce. Let's go ahead and check this out, though. Oh, I forgot about something in here. I was thinking this is green beans, but let's take a look at what all is in the turkey tetrazzini. In addition to turkey, obviously, there's asparagus, pimentos, mushrooms, onion powder, natural flavorings, and a whole bunch of other things. There really aren't a lot of really recognizable components. It's sort of seems kind of funny because looking at it, I'm glad I looked at the ingredients because I would have said, here we have some green beans and some carrots. But apparently this is actually asparagus and pimento. Why don't we try this out? It looks like you can see the pasta in there, and you can see bits of turkey. It doesn't look like huge chunks or anything. Let's give this a try. Yeah, that's good. It has that, almost tastes like stuffing, that gravy in there. It's it's a very thick, not very liquidy gravy at all. And it seems to be reconstituted just fine. The turkey may be slightly on the chewy side, but not all that bad for something that's been freeze-dried. And the pasta is very like thin and delicate, but it doesn't seem to be overly mushy. You'd almost think that it's since it's so small, it would tend to get on the mushy side, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. There's some of that asparagus. So this is somebody in the field. They would definitely have a reminder of this later when they went to the bathroom. It's really good. It's a very flavorful dish. A lot of times that is the case with these freeze-dried things. They tend to, for whatever reason, they have a lot more flavor and they taste a lot more natural than the retort pouch MRE entrees. And looking at the ingredients one more time, non-fat dry milk. So that's another thing that would be kind of dangerous if this wasn't a freeze-dried dish, having dry milk in there. And after the pimentos and mushrooms and corn oil, there's salt, sugar, chicken fat, just some interesting little ingredients in here. Bonito fish extract, and it even has sherry wine way down here. So you're certainly not going to get drunk off this, but they seem to really put a lot of work into making this flavorful. See if I'm trying to see if there's anything here that's not reconstituted. But it looks like I did a pretty good job for once, actually getting everything mixed up. This is a very good entree. I think the worst thing I can say about it is that the turkey is a bit on the chewy side. It tastes just fine. It's just that chewiness gives it, the consistency that's not necessarily perfect. And that could have something to do with how I reconstituted it. So from that delicious turkey tetrazzini, when we go to this less than delicious looking cheese spread, I'm going to try the cracker first. Yeah, I think it's fine. It may be slightly on the stale side. It's just the fact that the vegetable cracker does taste slightly different than the regular one, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm tasting what I should be tasting. Seems like it's fine, though. And let's try it with the jalapeno cheese spread. And that's good, too. You get that, it's kind of like a standard cheese spread, kind of a taste, and then the heat kicks in. You get the jalapenos. The texture is a little weird because of the fact that it's clumpy like this. I kind of like the cheese spread to be a little bit smoother. And it's kind of funny because when these do go bad, it does kind of look like this. It does kind of get dark, looks more brown than orange, and it gets that sort of clumpiness no matter how much you need it in the package. But as I said, I'm pretty sure those things in this case are just a result of the fact that it has jalapenos. Because it seems to taste just fine. I'm going to try some of this iced tea. It has that excellent MRE iced tea flavor, if you like it. And it's quickly followed by a little bit of a packaging aftertaste. Nothing horrible, but I was starting to swallow it and thinking, this is really good. And as soon as the thought entered my mind, I got that aftertaste. just a little bit of an undertone. It's not great. And as I said, we're not going to touch the coffee. There's just no reason. We know what instant coffee tastes like, and there's no reason to drink something that had mold in it. And we'll actually revisit the cheese and crackers in just a bit. But now it's time for dessert with our fudge brownie. This is a very, very dense brownie here. I'm definitely expecting a very chocolatey flavor out of this one. And that's just what you get. The chocolatey is kind of, it tastes like a real high quality chocolate. Not exactly something you find in a really nice candy bar, but maybe kind of along the lines of some chocolate energy bars. There's no mistaking it's chocolate, but you kind of see the denseness in here. There's like sort of darker bits, and that actually is very much like a real brownie. You know, a dense brownie, not, you know, one that's like kind of light and airy, but yeah, it's really good. And I'm not really noticing the little chocolate chips, but obviously they're adding a little bit of extra chocolate flavor. Nothing wrong with that. Normally, if this was too dense for you, you could dunk it in your coffee, but we're not going to do that either. And I'll try this orange beverage-based drink. It's weird that it has that foam on the top. And that's good. It kind of tastes like that orange drink you used to get that used to have at McDonald's. I don't know how many people remember that. And it's kind of like that. And as I always say, a lot like Tang. Tastes like a breakfast drink. So we pretty much looked at everything, I believe, other than the gum. And the last thing to do, since we have so much of this turkey tetrazzini, we might as well doctor it up a little bit and try some different things. It's great on its own. This doesn't need anything. This meal didn't even come with salt, like pretty much every MRE comes with. But it really doesn't need it. It has a lot of flavor. It's good stuff. And it's nice to eat it while it's hot. Actually, yeah, this is definitely preferable to be hot. It's already cooling off quite a bit. But why don't we try a little of the Tabasco on there. I wouldn't think this needs it. Let's see. Looks like it's got a little bit stuck up in the neck. I'm going to have to put a toothpick in there or something. I know a lot of people miss these old Tabasco bottles, including myself. But there's probably a lot of benefits to the new little sachets that they come in. First off, you don't have this problem. Once these things get to be like a year or two old, this is still definitely liquid in here. It looks fine, but because of the fact that it's this bottle shape, the neck, for some reason, it seems to get blocked up. The other thing that could be a problem is the fact that they're glass bottles, and you could think that they would break. I've never seen a broken one of these. And even though it is a glass bottle, it's completely covered in plastic. So that gives it an extra layer of protection. But we'll try a little bit on here. Give it that extra heat dimension. There was some mushroom. I hadn't really seen mushroom in this. Yeah, that really completely changes the flavor profile. And if you're a fan of hot sauce, there's certainly nothing wrong with it. But in a lot of cases, MREs, you put hot sauce, Tabasco sauce, things like that on it, specifically because it doesn't taste good or because it's bland. But when you have something that tastes good anyway, there's really no need to doctor it up. But since we are doctoring it up, we might as well do a little bit of gun dogging and give it some crumpled up crackers. The pasta in here, the noodles, as I said, they're not mushy or anything, but everything in here is pretty soft, so it's kind of not a bad thing to have a little bit of crunch to go along with this. You know, just to give you something a little extra. Yep, it doesn't really change the flavor, but it gives you a little extra interest level. And since we're here, we'll do I guess the only other thing that we can really do, a little bit of the cheese spread. So even without the salt that most MREs come with, it does give you quite a few options for changing it up a bit, making it a little bit more to your liking. And that's what that does, it changes it up. I personally I like it just as it is, and I won't add anything else to it. But there's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with changing up a little bit. You can make it a little more interesting if you need to. And that's basically what we have in here to eat and drink. I guess we'll finish up by trying out this kind of smashed up chewing gum. It's interesting, I've never really seen the inside before. You really get an idea of how much gum there is and how much candy coating there is. And that seems to be fine. It's a little bit on the hard side when you start, and then it kind of breaks up. I guess that's the candy mixing in with the gum. But then you chew it a little bit and it goes right back into gum. It's always a nice way to kind of freshen up your mouth a little bit after you eat one of these meals. So that was a look at a meal cold weather. Menu number 4, Turkey Tetrazzini from 2014. Thank you for watching.